Would you like to know 9 ways that you can boost your retirement savings without much effort? That's what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video. These things don't involve having to work or making more income. These are just simple ways that you can end up with more money in your retirement savings. Hi, I'm Camille Gaines here and on my website, retirecertain.com. I write about and talk about what I've learned from investing for about 40 years now, as well as a stumble into early retirement along with my husband in midlife. If you like this information, make sure you click that little thumbs up below my video. It really helps me be seen by more people and provide this free financial information. The very first way to boost your retirement savings with very little effort is simply to live from a plan. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's so easy for life to slip by. First it's a month or two, then it's a year or two, and years have gone by, and we have lived our lives without any sort of a plan, without thinking about how much money do we need to retire. And when we can have a plan, even though plans are based on estimates about investment returns, about longevity, about so many things, they're giant estimates, we have a plan, and that pulls us toward the goal that we set for the end of that plan. And when we live from that plan, we're much more likely to put more money into our retirement savings. It's in our face, it's in front of us. We have a purpose and a reason for doing the things that we're doing. So that's the very first way to boost your retirement savings, is simply to figure out and take a little bit of time just to say, how much do I want to spend in retirement? How much does that cost? How much am I spending now? Do I want to adjust that for later in life or for when I'm retired? And how much money will it take me to sustain that desired lifestyle? This is sort of the premise of what I do as a financial coach, is helping people figure this out. And how can that happen? So having a plan and living from that plan as far as spending and your lifestyle is really valuable, underrated, and usually avoided. All right, the very next way to boost your retirement savings is by checking your expenses monthly. This sounds so basic, but so many people don't do it. And there are tools that make it easy to do. I like to just go to my credit card companies. I really just have one that I primarily use, and download a statement and sort it. And I can see exactly where our money has gone. The great thing about doing this monthly is we can catch those recurring expenses before they happen again. And it helps us to notice those expenses that sneak in that we didn't really realize we were getting caught in when we signed up for something. And it also just helps us prioritize and say, wow, I spent X amount of dollars on this. Am I getting the return that I wanted out of that expense? I like to think of investing and everything we use our money for is all just a way to use our money with a specific objective in mind. And a lot of people don't view investing that way, but that is the case, and it's just like our spending. And in this case, check and see how you're using that money every month so that you can put as much as you want or more into your retirement savings with that end goal in mind. The next way to boost retirement savings, I already touched on a little bit, and that's simply to avoid recurring expenses that you don't use. There's so many things that we sign up for, whether that's a subscription television service, I don't want to name any in particular, music services, gym services, other things that we simply end up not using effectively or completely or at all. And when we keep an eye on those monthly expenses, we notice those. But one really great thing to do is just when you sign up for something that's a recurring expense, just go ahead right then and put it in your calendar so that you see it come up a day, 2 or 3 days before the time for you to cancel it, so you can give it a fair trial. I'm not for just completely eliminating things that we care about having in our lives. What I'm talking about is things that aren't important to us. They aren't as important as that end goal of having enough money to retire when we want. The next way to boost retirement savings is to call the services that you use, let them know you're thinking of changing services, check out other services before you do so it's the truth, and see if they will give you a lower rate. This is so often the case. So call them, just check it out. It only takes a few minutes to do that, and that money can go straight into your retirement account. The very next way that you can boost your retirement savings, I love this one, it's to buy used things. Okay, there are so many things, it totally doesn't matter if they're used. Some examples are cars. These are things that I've bought used. Cars, diamonds, exercise equipment, even furniture, especially antiques, which I happen to love, or wooden furniture. It makes no difference whatsoever whether or not these items have been used. Some items, of course, you're better off buying new. Electronics, things that might get dated with technology, but there are so many things that just aren't affected, and by purchasing them used, you can save so much money. The next way to boost your retirement savings is to think of spending in terms of pre-tax dollars. And let me tell you what I mean by this. If you buy, let's say you buy a new car and it costs $50,000, it really took you $60,000 or maybe $70,000 to buy that car, depending on what tax bracket you're in. So you made that money, you paid taxes on that money, and then what's left is what you spend. So realize it takes more of your earning power, your money, to make a purchase than simply what you're paying for something. The next way to boost your retirement savings is to buy from places that sell things cheaper. Okay, so one example of this is TJ Maxx, one of my favorite stores. Why not purchase things at TJ Maxx? They have almost everything I need, especially when it comes to clothes. There's simply no reason to not do that if spending is a concern for you and you are concerned about boosting your retirement savings. Now, for me personally, I find it quite fun, so I will probably always be a TJ Maxx shopper. The next way to boost your retirement savings is to delay purchases for at least 24 hours. This will really reduce or avoid impulse buying altogether. It's so easy to purchase things that are not in alignment with our overall plan, that seem like a great idea at the time, but that we don't really need. And when we can put something in place for ourselves, such as delaying purchases for 24 hours, we can really reduce our spending. The next tip for boosting retirement savings is simply to do free or cheap stuff. Let me give you a couple of examples about this. And I like to think of living well, but with less money. Okay, so for example, you can eat completely gourmet meals at home. So this is a perfect example of how we can live well, but we can spend less money. Another example is just the things that I've referred to, such as buying things that are already used, that someone else has enjoyed before you. Another great example is to do things like buy gym equipment, probably used, for your home, and go for walks or hikes instead of joining a gym. When COVID hit, I was used to paying a pretty good sum every month to go to my bar classes, which I absolutely love. But what happened during COVID is I had to stop going. I was really upset about it. But what happened is I did the exercises at home. I had already learned all of them because I had been going for a couple of years, and I highly recommend bar exercises, by the way. That's BARRE. But what happened is after COVID, I didn't go back because I got into the routine of doing the exercises in the morning, in the evening, whenever I worked them in. I had a set time in my schedule, and I didn't have the expense. So think about the things that you're spending money on that you could do for free or almost free that are almost as good. And then the very last way to boost your retirement savings is eat what's on sale at the grocery store. I love this one. So instead of just planning out your meals based on what you want to eat, either look online at what's on sale at your grocery store and plan your meals around that, or go to the grocery store and see what they have and plan your meals there. So often grocery stores sell out of what's on sale, or you get there and you're disappointed of the quality of them. So it's sort of a creative process to just go and sort of like, I think of it as thinking like a chef, to go and find what's on sale and purchase those things and be creative in your meals. It gets you out of a rut as far as what you're cooking and what you're eating. And when you buy what's on sale, you significantly reduce your grocery bills. Not only that, when meat's on sale, for example, you can load up and put it in the freezer, and then you have it. It's easy to pull out when you want it. Remember, above all, retire certain.